All right, hey, how's it going, guys? Back here with another episode of Wow, Look at Me Now. First of all, I just want to thank everybody for all the subscriptions, all the likes, the comments, and shares. Um, Everything has been going like great, and all the feedback has been awesome. So, thank you guys again. And if you could just like, comment, share, tell somebody about it. If you know anybody struggling or going through anything that maybe this could help, maybe just needs a little bit of insight on maybe how some people got over some things that maybe they're still going through themselves. Also, I just want to kind of tell you guys about what this episode is going to be about. We're going to start off, and I'm just going to tell everybody about kind of what is going on with the podcast, a little bit of inside info, and where we're going to go next with the podcast. And then we're going to bring on Jay Paulson, and we're going to just talk about some ideas for the podcast, some things we want to do, and some ideas we kind of have that maybe we can get some inside feedback from everybody else about that they kind of like. And then we're going to talk about a topic that's kind of been coming up a lot with me, and people have been kind of bringing up since I've done this podcast and since we put it out, is depression. And that's something that I myself have gone through, and I've been able to overcome with maybe some of the stuff that we talked about on the podcast, and some of the stuff that we're going to bring up. And then also, just maybe helping people that are going through some depression or struggles or whatever that is, and maybe we can give you some ideas or maybe some direction on things that'll help you. So a little bit about what's going on with the podcast right now. Basically, what we're doing is we have this mic and an iPhone SE, and that's how we're doing it. And then I have a little app on my podcast or on my phone that's for basically podcast, and it's called Splice. So that's how I edit all my videos right now. So it's taking forever. So then I have to edit, upload it to YouTube, and that's just taking a long time on a phone. So right now we're in talks with getting investors and sponsors. And I've actually been talking with a couple, and it's looking really close like we're going to sign a deal soon. And then we're going to invest in computer, a new mics. Hopefully it'll be able to do 4 people. That's our goal, is up to 4 people as a podcast. And then we're going to do new cameras, new mics, new mixer on top of the laptop, and then hopefully we can get more guests in here and get edited and put out a little faster than what we're doing right now, because again it's all on a phone, it's just taking forever. So the goal is to just kind of get that going into the next step. So if you know anybody who wants to kind of sponsor us, help us out, anything like that, maybe just point us in the right direction of somebody who might, go ahead and email us. Our email will be at the end of the podcast. Our Facebook will be there. We have an Instagram now. Again, our YouTube channel. We're working on Twitter. We're going to try to get all of those social media bases covered, and hopefully we can get this shared as much as possible. So again, if this is something that'll help you, or somebody's going to help, just share this out, talk about it. Word of mouth is always great, as well as sharing on social media. I think that with this podcast, I can bring out a lot of stuff, and I think that we can make a lot of shirts, logos and stuff that can kind of help us put out the message that we want to put out. Whether it's about addiction awareness, suicide awareness, cystic fibrosis. Again, it's the 3 main things that I kind of want to cover. I know there's a lot of things that people struggle with, but these are kind of things that have been personal to me, and I know a lot of people around me have kind of struggled with some of this stuff. Obviously, cystic fibrosis is personal to me, but depression, I think a lot of people kind of dealt with that, or addiction. A lot of people know that somebody's gone through addiction or that is addicted to something, that maybe we can give them a little bit of insight or a little bit of help, or push them in the right direction to overcome these things. And so with that being said, I am looking to kind of make this the next step. So again, email us if you know anybody who's willing to help us out. So thank you guys, and we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back with Jay Paulson, and then we'll come up with some of the good ideas we want to do, and talk about silent killers, depression. So all right, we'll be back. Thank you guys. All right, hey guys, we're back. Again, Jay Paulson here. We're going to go over just some of the ideas we have for the fights, and then we're going to kind of elaborate on a little bit of that and kind of go into, a little bit of how one of those podcasts would go. So basically, one of our ideas is that we're going to kind of comment on our own fights. So I'll come in and I'll kind of go over a fight, and I'll just kind of play a fight a little bit so you guys can see it, and then I'll comment on my fight and kind of what it was like leading up to that fight, how the weight cut was, what I knew about my opponent, what I remember about all this stuff, because a lot of these for me were a long time ago. And then we'll kind of have Jay come in and some of the other fighters as well. And, again, comment on their fight. We'll watch them together and then kind of get like a little bit of a impression.
Rundowns.
Yeah, and rundowns. Yeah, and so we kind of have a name about it. And what was the name that you were kind of thinking about?
It was the rundown with the Prodigy and the Magic Man.
And Magic Man, right? So
Yep.
But yeah, so we're working on the name still, but again, like it'll probably be the rundown with Prodigy again. That's my nickname, and newly nicknamed Magic Man Jay Paulson, which I mean it definitely fits for some of the stuff that he's done. And,
Thanks.
what he
man.
does around the gym as well. He works his magic around here and makes everything work well. So that's going to be a little bit of our idea. And so what we'll be doing, for those podcasts is also we'll be talking about like me and Jay will probably come in and we'll talk about fights that are Bellator, UFC, some of the local tournaments, some of the local fights that maybe Jay will have coming up, or some of the other fighters that we know will have coming up, and hopefully kind of get some publicity for some of those guys, and just kind of make it more. Those more are going to be more like fight official, I guess, and more kind of like based around fighting. And so what we'll do now is we'll kind of go into some of the fights that were past weekend, and then some of the ones that are coming up. This will actually come out probably 2 weekends after, so probably 2 weekends ago. It'll be the Kevin Gastelum, right? Kevin Gastelum?
Kevin Gastelum
Robert Whitaker.
Robert Whitaker happened last weekend.
Yeah, and so that'll be when this one comes out. We have one coming out, and this one will probably come out maybe this Sunday. So maybe it'll be a week. It'll be like the weekend before. So yeah, so it'll be 1 weekend before this. And so big thing, we'll just kind of get into what we thought about the fight. What happened to the card or what didn't happen, what we were expecting and what we weren't expecting. And then we'll go into the next card that's coming up this weekend, which is Cain Velasquez versus
Coming back.
Ngannou.
Francis
Ngannou, big knockout artist. And then we'll kind of give a rundown about some of those fights and what we think is going to happen in the main event. So with the Whitaker-Gastelum fight, that actually didn't happen.
It actually fell through the day of the fight.
Yep.
I woke up Saturday morning excited to watch these fights, going through Facebook, seeing that Whitaker was pulled out of the fight. And, whenever I see stuff like that, I'm always like, somebody's pulling somebody's leg here. Somebody's just trying to get clickbait stuff. So I look at it, I was like, oh, God, this is real. He had not an ulcer on his stomach, but...
A hernia, right?
A hernia, yep. That was exploded or something. He had to go in for an emergency surgery.
Which is, it's so crazy that happened, that he was working out and cutting weight and all that.
Yeah.
The night after cutting weight and all that. But again, that's a lot of strain on your body too. And
yeah.
Those
going through a 12-week camp or whatever he actually did, then.
And I'm sure his 12, 16 maybe. Just depending on fighting, for the title and that being that big.
And that wasn't just a title fight for him. It was in his hometown in Australia, which would have been monumental for him, and
right. Yeah, and I think that it's one of those things too that maybe it was something that he was trying to hide, and then at the end of the day, after that big weight cut, or that, like, again, that's such a big strain on your body, and it's one of those things that you've seen a lot of people almost die from and have to take out a lot of fights because of that. That I'm wondering if that strain on his body wasn't the cause of why it actually ruptured or became an emergency surgery
made it an
situation.
issue. Yeah.
Which sucks because I was really looking forward to that fight.
Yeah. Then you had Gastelum out in the stands wearing his buddy's belt.
Yeah, whose belt was that?
I forget whose it was, but...
I seen that he had a belt. That was such a...
Was it Cejudo's?
I don't... Henry Cejudo? Does Henry Cejudo have a belt?
Because he's the only one with the new belt, I believe.
Oh, it could have been.
Since they changed it over.
Yep, that's right. It was. It probably would have been him.
Yeah.
Unless they give all the new champs a belt.
But see, they didn't give Gastelum the title. They didn't strip Whitaker.
No, there's no intern, but Gastelum was just, now I'm the champ because he's an idiot. But
yeah,
I mean, it's like that's one of those things that he's trying to get publicity.
He's just trying to get the call out.
Again, he's trying to get us to talk about it. Which,
yep.
Good job.
Worked.
You got us. But no, I definitely think that Whitaker got the raw end of the deal again. That was, probably the only time that he's going to be able to defend his title at home, at least anytime soon, unless he, was the reigning champ.
Because I believe the last time they were in Australia was when Ronda fought.
Ronda. Who did she fight?
I think it's when she fought Nunes. He got knocked out by Nunes. Or no, maybe that was Holly Holm. Was that 200?
I'm not sure. That's
No.
a lot of fights,
Yeah,
a lot of punches to go.
Yeah.
No, so I don't know. I think the big thing about that fight was that I thought Whitaker was going to win, but
Definitely.
I think that Gastelum I don't know if he's ready for that big of a test or a war.
No, I think Whitaker's too big and too good for Gastelum.
Yeah, and I mean Gastelum though, his hands are on point. I mean he's done a lot of good knockouts in the recent in the last year or so, and I don't know. I mean he definitely deserves it, but I think that Whitaker is definitely on a different level, and you see in those Ramiro fights that.
Yeah, he's kind of just owning that middleweight division right now.
Yeah, and he's ready for a war. He's ready. He's ready to go at it, and he's coming in on a shield. He's ready to die on his shield, and that's the kind of fighter that everybody kind of likes to see. So it sucks that he's been hurt and all these injuries have happened between, especially when him and Ramiro were fighting. That all that
Taking those beatings.
Yeah, and then they always had like the where somebody fall out or something happened because there was a bunch of crap with that as well. So hopefully him and Gastelum can run that back and actually get
Because
his title.
I haven't heard of data or anything that when he's going to come back, but they are saying that he's on recovery and doing better now. So
Yeah, I mean, when I had a surgery, I had a hernia when I was very, very young, and whatever it was like about 6 or 8 weeks it took me to recover. So, someone like him is in great shape. I'm sure he's going to recover well, and he's going to be back into doing physical therapy right away. And I mean, the UFC is going to take care of that, and help him out. So obviously, he's going to have like the best, the doctors and physical therapists and all that stuff to get him back, especially being the champion. I want him back as soon as possible because God knows they don't need another 25th interim champion for the year. But a fight that did actually happen on that card, which is awesome, that I'd love to get into, which I actually didn't get to see, but I've seen a lot of the highlights, which is awesome.
it was amazing.
Is Stylebender versus Anderson Silva, which is like the new Anderson Silva versus, the idol, the rival, the old school Anderson Silva, but it's kind of him getting late in his career, and, he's had a lot of
Even for him
controversy.
being late in his career and old, yeah, he got caught a couple times, but he was still moving and fluid and pushing, and it was just fun to watch him back, and being him still.
Right, and he did a lot of the playing around with his hands up. And he tried to throw a flying knee, and I remember at one point he pointed at the cage and was like, "You're supposed to be right here." And
Still being that cocky Anderson,
Yeah, and so it was good to see. And I remember somebody said that it was like a movie. It was like a fight out of a movie. Like they did.
It was like a Mortal Kombat fight.
Yeah,
That's
like
what
they're going for
compared
like
to.
jumping fights and kicking and Stylebender is so flashy. And he was doing some stuff. But to see Anderson, like I remember seeing some of the kicks where he just again matrixed everything. And he's like, whoop. It's crazy to see that again. He's that old. He's up there, but that timing and all that stuff is still there.
Some of our heroes are still alive. Because I know, like, watching BJ Penn just getting demolished every time he sees
Oh,
a
dude,
kid.
it's been the worst year for old school fighters, man.
Yeah.
I Chuck Liddell again, BJ, it just...
Yeah, so it was fun to actually see one of our heroes, or mine at least, I'm sure yours too, actually go out and still being able to put on a competitive show.
Even if he's not, not a hero or whatever, and you think whatever he can, because people said that, the steroids or whatever, there's no doubt that what he did in the sport
He's
is
one
monumental.
of the best.
That he is definitely going to go down as pound for pound one of the best, one of the top 1, 2, 3. However, at least for now in our era, he's going to go down as one of the probably the best of all time, regardless of how he did steroids or whatever. When the man broke his leg, he broke his fucking leg in half.
Right.
It's like, and then he got caught for steroids. So, I think anything up to that point to getting his leg broke in that fight where he did get popped, whatever. But him and Nate Diaz both failed the same test. So I mean, they were both. Whatever.
One was for marijuana.
Yeah, I mean it don't count, but it counts,
Yeah.
But I still think I give them both the pass on that one, just because again Anderson Silva was so old and he broke his leg in half. Like he didn't just split it a little bit. It broke in half, compound fractures, came out of the skin. Like it was a horrific injury that he came back from super fast. And again,
it was
maybe
the
the steroids or whatever did have something to do with that. But I think that up to that point, what he did, to Chris D'Elia and to Rich Franklin the first couple times was just, there's nobody out there that did anything or demolished anybody like him. So you can't take that away from him, no matter what he did in his career. And again, I give him that pass because I don't think there's ever going to be an asterisk next to his name because of that broken leg. And there's nobody else, John Jones, on those guys that have been caught for steroids, had some kind of a catastrophic injury that late in their career, and then try to come back and again support their family and do all that stuff. And I definitely give him the pass on that one. But again, the Stylebender now is going to be the new Anderson Silva.
And there was something like I've seen some of his other fights where he's always out there pushing the pace, and I was wondering if there was a part of him that was still kind of holding back. just because it was Anderson Silva.
Stylebender.
And Stylebender. And they were like one of his idols.
100% his idol.
You could tell that because of just his style and everything. So there was a part of me that kind of felt like he wasn't going 100% in the fight.
I wasn't going to say anything, to be honest. I didn't want to bring that up or say anything, but I don't want to take anything away from Anderson Silva or away from Stylebender, but I've heard, there's guys like Chris Weidman that have been saying stuff about Stylebender being overrated, and this fight proves that. And I think that there's a time and opportunity where your idols become your rivals, and I think that was that way for Stylebender that night, where he got up to a point to where he looked up to a guy who was a great striker like he is, but was the very first one to be that great, and now he's coming in and he's doing a lot of things that Anderson was knocking people out, beating people, and to be in that fight with you, even though necessarily you probably could knock out your idol or your that now became your rival, but in the back of your mind, you still probably want to think like, I want to go as long with this guy as I can. I want to spend as much time in the ring with this guy.
And this goes back to remind me of when GSP fought Matt Hughes the first time.
Yep.
Did you just have that something in you that just can't make you pull the trigger or whatever it is,
Right. And you're always holding back a little bit, you want to kick him, but you don't want to actually try to knock him out. And
yeah.
I didn't see the whole fight, but from what I seen that it was two guys kind of enjoying the aspect of being in there with each other.
Moment.
Yeah, and they were respecting each other, and again they're trying to hit each other, they're trying to kick each other, and they're trying to be stylish, but they were being entertaining, and they're being martial artists.
Yes.
They weren't trying to like kill. Again, they probably were at some point trying to kill each other because the heat of the moment, and that's how it goes. But I think again that there was a big sign of respect, there that they kind of held a certain degree, and I think that if Stylebender would have kind of went after Anderson Silva without that respect and all that, I think he, at this stage in Anderson's career, he would have demolished him. But
I mean, even though like he was moving and everything, you could look at his face and just see that kind of old age in him. He was a little chubby in the face, and just those little kind of things where it's like, that's Anderson, but it's not really Anderson anymore. But
and I mean, he still moved the same way, but again, you can tell that the age is getting to him, and who knows how many more fights he's gonna have for that. And I think it was, even if Israel could have knocked him out or he couldn't have knocked him out, I still think it's very respectable for the way that they fought, and they did that. And if it was Anderson Silva's last fight, that'd be a great fight for him to go out on.
Yes.
He still lost, but it was still a great fight. You still got to see his style. You still got to have fun, and you could tell that he enjoyed it, and they both enjoyed it. At the end, they both were on their knees, bowing to each other, honoring each other.
Yes.
There was a picture. I wish I would have got it, but it's. I'll share it on Instagram. I'll try to find it, and I'll share it on Facebook as well. So if you guys are on those, check them out. If not, the links are gonna be at the end of these podcasts. But there's a picture where they're both on hands and knees, both bowing down to each other, and it says like the new style against like the idol. It's like the new kid against and it's the guy, the up and comer, idolizing it and getting that chance to know that he got to take that step and kind of gets that. Yeah, exactly. Passing the torch. There you go. That's a perfect example. And it's not only him honoring Anderson Silva and being like, thank you so much, but also Anderson Silva honoring him and being like, thank you for taking, my steps and becoming what I was, and living up to that
expectations.
Dream. And he kind of left like the steps and the pathway for him. And so it's good to see that the old lion kind of, like you said, giving the new lion that respect of, here you go, this is for you, and I appreciate what you've done, because I've seen a lot of old fighters get beat up and kind of be a jerk about it.
Yeah.
It's very good to see Anderson again, and that's going to go back to his credit of being one of the best of all time.
Yep.
There's no way
he was always a true martial artist, which was amazing to see.
There's no way he can't be one of the best of all time.
Yeah.
And I mean, I especially in our era, because who knows, 20, 30 years of mixed martial arts goes the way it is, with all the people
Sadly,
in
he'll
Japan
probably
and
be
everywhere.
forgotten, but
It's so sad because, again, we have those things where Chuck Liddell, Tito Ortiz.
these last 3-4 years, I've been personally watching all my heroes from when I was 14, 15, just kind of falling off and just disappearing.
And it started with, Matt Hughes, and then BJ, and again, he's still coming back trying to do it, and then Chuck. And I'll be honest, as a fan, I remember, I'm sure I've said this in some podcast, I think it was even one with you, when I first started fighting, or started watching fighting or getting into it, Chuck Liddell was the man. Sprawl and brawl was my thing. I still can't sprawl, I was saying that joke, but that's honestly who I first got into watching. I remember like one of the very first pay-per-views that I 100% remember watching was Chuck Liddell fighting Randy Couture and knocking him out. It was the second fight when they fought and he knocked him out. And nobody thought he was going to win, but we all thought Chuck was going to win and he won. And it was just like, now nobody knows who that is.
Right.
And it was such a big monumental time for UFC that it got so many people into watching UFC. And then, boom, they came out with Spike TV that was Chuck Liddell, Randy Couture, the coaches. And it was like, oh my God, they just hooked. And those were, not Randy, Chuck, nobody even talks about any of those guys. Nobody remembers any of those guys. And it's kind of a discredit to the sport. But again, even before those guys, you know, you got Shamrock and you got a lot of those guys that started out and were pioneers that still kind of get forgotten. So it's good to kind of bring those guys back and not forget those guys and not, you know, which I think a lot of the new UFC guys and kind of like maybe even like the new like pro wrestling guys, they forget about like the pioneers, you know, the Roddy Pipers, the Stings, you know, the Hulk Hogan. They forget about all those guys and they're just like, oh, this is what it was. But you got to kind of pay a tribute to all those guys, and especially like, you know, Chuck, who was for a while on the Ultimate Fighter, was the face, and then it became, you know, basically that Chuck and Randy passed it to Forrest Griffin and Stephen Bonner for a while, which are two guys that also don't get any recognition.
No.
Which are two guys that are in the Hall of Fame who deserve it, who 100% like had over 1 million people, which was the first like time 1 million people had ever watched a
Like
fight
everybody
on
gives
TV.
Conor McGregor this first champ, but BJ Penn was the first one to have the 155, 170 belts.
That's true. He was.
It wasn't at the same time.
It wasn't simultaneously, no.
But he did have the two-way classes.
And I mean, he's definitely going to be one of the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
And it
I
sucks
believe he
because-
is already in the Hall of Fame too.
Yeah, he is,
Yes.
because I we might have talked about this already, but I think that when they get to Hall of Fame, they shouldn't be allowed to fight anymore. And I mean, they're adults; they can do whatever they want. I mean, but at the same time, like, you don't see a lot.
Somebody should be looking out for them.
Yeah, you don't see a lot of people.
Because I believe that's actually why Chuck wasn't in the UFC for his last fight, is because Dana was like, "No, we're not doing this anymore."
Yeah, it's not worth it for itself, and honestly, for good reason. It sucks because I love Chuck Liddell again, but he definitely didn't need to come back.
No.
You know, especially against someone like Tito, where it's just like, ugh, you know, it's like we don't need that. It was just unnecessary, and it was unnecessary for him to take that punishment. But I don't know. I agree that they can do whatever they want, but I think again it should be a rule that once you're in the Hall of Fame, or at least as a person, you should just make that rule for yourself. Once I get inducted to the Hall of Fame, what else do I have to prove? Like, you're in the Hall of Fame of, like, there's nothing else to do. And you don't see baseball players, football players, any of that stuff coming out. That, oh, I'm in the Hall of Fame, but I'm going to play in the Super Bowl next year. Like, that's not how it works. You know? It's just, once you're done, you're done. But it's one of those things where it's addicting, you know, 100% being out there. And for a lot of those guys, that's all they know.
Right.
And they kind of get into that aspect of, this is all
That's
I know,
their
this is all I
life.
can do. And I'm used to being in the gym. When they're not there, they kind of get depressed. And they don't have, like, that, they don't have that end game or any kind of,
They don't have
like,
that thing
I
that
don't have
drives
another
them.
game. Yeah, I don't have like, oh, well, this is done, but I have another thing that I'm looking forward to doing.
Yep.
And I think it's because a lot of them, their mind tells them they can go farther than their body can. And once their body starts giving up, their mind's like, no, I can still do this. And it's hard to convince yourself. At least for me, like that was a big thing about me that for fighting that kind of we'll get into too when we talk a little more about the depression stuff. But another fight that happened, again, Anderson Silva, that was an awesome fight. Super
These next ones are the
proud to
ones coming
see
up.
you. Yep, these ones are gonna be the ones coming up. But super proud to see that you're out there still, and that you got to have a good opponent. Where it was a great matchup to see your style and to see the old Anderson Silva come back. So I'm really glad that the UFC made a fight like that, because a lot of times again we see a lot of the old timers get in a fight where they don't deserve to be in that. Like, not necessarily deserve to be in that fight, but they don't deserve that kind of a beating, or, you know, like, again, going back to BJ Penn versus Ryan Hall, like that was very hard to watch for, I'm sure, a lot of MMA fans that are old school MMA fans. That was very, very hard to watch, and it was just a bad style matchup. And Ryan Hall wasn't coming out to play; he was coming out to tear off somebody's leg.
Yeah.
He's going
You know, honestly, I'm glad that it ended the way it did without him taking a beating.
Yep.
We're like, yeah, he just lost and got his leg, whatever, but he didn't have to take any unnecessary punishment, which
And hopefully his
has
knee's
happened in a lot of BJ fights, but old. So.
Yep, and hopefully his knee's not tore up or anything like that. You know, I haven't heard anything, so that's always good. But again, okay, so we're gonna jump into these next fights. So, do you know what the date of this fight is?
That is this Saturday.
What's
which
the
will be
UFC
the
date?
16th.
You know, UFC Did we write that? We didn't write that.
This is the
We'll
UFC
write
on
that down.
Fox. It's the
UFC.
second UFC on Fox.
No, ESPN.
ESPN.
Right,
That's
so
what
he's
I
the
meant to
first.
say.
He's like the first main event on ESPN. Okay, so yeah,
Yep.
so ESPN, Cain Velasquez versus Francis Ngannou.
Ngannou.
Yep.
Ngannou.
Ngannou. Okay, so what is the fight that you're looking forward to the most besides that fight?
That's the only one I really know.
That's the only one you know. Okay,
Yeah.
so Felder.
I've heard of the Paul Felder and James Vick, but I don't know
So I
a
know
lot about them.
I know Vic was on the Ultimate Fighter. I think he was on I want to say either the undefeated Ultimate Fighter or one of those, or he was undefeated when he was on the Ultimate Fighter.
Okay.
And I don't think he won it, but he's been doing very good in the UFC. I think his record's 12-2 or somewhere around that. I remember seeing when we looked it up just a minute ago that it was 2 losses. And Paul Felder I know very well. He's one of the
Is he the one that's
commentators.
commentating now?
Yeah,
Yes.
he's one of the
Okay.
commentators.
Yep.
He had like a bloodbath of a fight not too long ago. Just tough as nails. So
These are
those
both
two
stand-up
guys.
fighters, I
Yeah,
believe.
they're both 2 guys.
So they're
and
ready for another war.
They love to fight. Yeah, they're gonna come out and they're gonna go after it. So this is a great fight to look forward to. If I don't know, I guess we'll do picks, but I think that Vic is definitely a dangerous opponent. He's long. He's gonna be a little more lanky. I haven't seen a lot of his fights lately. I know on the Ultimate Fighter he was still really young. But again, he has a good record. What is it, 12-2 or something? So I mean, he hasn't done too bad. And Paul Felder, I know that he comes out. He likes to elbows. He likes to get in your face. He's got a good tight stance. So just based on what I know, I'd probably pick Felder just because that's kind of the guy that I know the most about, and I've seen in some wars. Not saying that Vic's probably not going to come out and be ready for a war, but I definitely know Felder could hold his own. So if I was going to make a pick, I'd pick Felder for sure.
And I'd probably have to agree with you just because of the little that I do know of the each. Like I've heard more of Felder lately,
Right.
and he's had some more recent fights. I
Yep.
guess I should say.
If I remember correctly, now that I think about it, James Vick, he fought. Oh gosh, what is that guy's name? He's a crazy guy. Came over. He was a champ. He was undefeated, and then he got beat a couple times. He fought. I hate this. I should have looked it up a little better.
Because what weight class?
He got
is
one
this?
punch knocked out. 155. He got one punch
155ers.
knocked out. Yeah, I should have done my research a little better. It'll come to me.
We'll get better at this. I
Yeah, we'll get
promise.
better. But no, I remember that he was. I think it was his first main event, and he actually got KO'd in his last fight. And if I'm not mistaken, Felder lost his last fight or the fight before that too. So it might be 2 guys coming off of losses. But again, Vic is super tough. I know that he was doing really well before he got knocked out. And then another fight that I'm kind of looking forward to, which is it's kind of a big fight for the UFC, which I don't know how good they're pumping it up, and I haven't really heard anything about it until we kind of just looked up the card.
Because this is actually pretty early on the main event card.
Yeah,
this
this
is
fight.
second fight.
Yeah.
So-
It's early, so it'll probably be prelims. Is it even on the prelims? Did you see that?
I think it was the second fight on the main card.
The Crown fight is.
The Crown fight.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and I haven't looked up any of this yet, and we're gonna look up to it, and we'll come back to you guys, and we'll kind of have a podcast where we're talking about the end of this fight and what we
The
thought
recap.
about. Yeah, it's a little bit of a recap. It'll be the rundown again. But I think that Kron coming to the UFC is huge, and they should be promoting that like crazy. Again, it's hard because the main event, but that's got to be a huge fight for them because it's the Gracie. It's not only the Gracies, but it's the best Gracie of all time. It's his son. It's Hickson Gracie's son, and he's done very well in other organizations, and so he's finally coming to the UFC and. He's a submission artist. I think he's won most of his fights by submission. He's beat some very good guys, not only in MMA, but also some of the best guys in jiu-jitsu that compete at some of the highest levels.
Yeah.
And so
And
now
you know he's
he's
going to bring
transferred
because
over.
he's carrying that Gracie name.
And he's
So-
bringing it to the UFC, which is going to be crazy. So hopefully we get to see a Gracie train again. That'd be awesome. I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully, because when we were fighting, we kind of adopted that a little bit, and we call it the crazy train because we were Team Crazy at the time. So we would do the same thing. The first guy that would fight would walk out, and everybody behind us. And so hopefully they get the crazy train. That'd be awesome to see. The guy he's fighting, I know quite a bit about. Is Bruce Leroy. He was also an Ultimate Fighter. I don't know if you know much about him, but he's a good stand-up guy. Kind of a karate style again, more like Bruce Lee.
I saw the big afro. That was
Huge
pretty
afro,
cool.
yeah. Very, very full of himself. He's a very confident young man, and I mean he's been around the UFC for a while now. Again, he was on the Ultimate Fighter, quite a few years ago. So he's been around. I'm not sure if he's been in the UFC the whole time or if he's coming back right now, but it's good to see that they're giving Kron a good test of guys that are, it's not a guy
Not
that's
just
gonna be
giving him some bum off the streets.
exactly. They're not bringing a guy in from another organization that is his first fight in the UFC where he's gonna have like those UFC jitters too, and then Kron just runs over somebody. They're actually giving him a test of
veteran.
somebody that's been in there and he's been in some wars and he's had some, some really good fights and not some good fights, not good, so good fights. So, it's kind of like a gatekeeper fight. How is Kron gonna do? And so, if I pick, I'm definitely gonna pick Kron by submission, but I don't think Bruce Leroy's gonna go out without a bang.
He's always got that shot.
Yeah, he's gonna come out and he's gonna go after Kron. I just hope he's smart, stays his distance for a little bit, and doesn't get wrapped up right away because it's gonna be like a snake once he gets wrapped up. I think it's gonna be a lot of pain and suffering. So we're gonna kind of get to the main event now.
This is the one that I'm really excited about.
Yeah, so we'll
finally seeing Kane come back.
Yeah, so we'll just kind of, again, this is our segment again. I talk a lot, but we'll kind of let Jay talk and take over this one a little bit, and I'll kind of comment because again, this is the one he's really excited about. So
this is Kane coming back, I believe, after almost 3 years. His last fight was at UFC 200 against Travis Brown, which he won.
He beat Travis Brown.
I don't remember how he won, but he did win that fight.
Okay.
I believe last year he was supposed to have a fight, but he did something to his back where the week of the fight they had to pull him, and he had to have surgery.
Who was he gonna fight then? Do you remember?
I do not recall because when I was looking it up, they didn't have it listed.
Okay.
But
yeah, if it gets canceled, it's probably hard to remember that far back too.
yeah, because I believe it was over last Christmas, so almost exactly.
So what happened that he was out in the first place? Because he was doing great. I mean, he beat Brock, he beat Travis Brown. I mean, he beat a lot of guys. He was a champ for a long time. Him and Junior Dos Santos had just some brawls.
Those wars,
So
yes.
what happened to that? Do you remember that he got hurt?
It was a back injury. It's something I think that he has been carrying for a while.
Okay.
And then it finally was just so bad that the doctors actually had to pull him from the fight.
Okay, and then maybe he had to have surgery or something.
He had to
like
have
that?
something done to his vertebrae. Yes.
Okay, so it is this vertebrae.
Back surgery, and then
Ooh, that's rough.
yeah, those are.
Yeah, like you said, it's got him out for now 3 years. So, and that's coming down this weekend.
This weekend is
It's not gonna be
Saturday.
pulled out the day of the fight. It's not gonna pull
Let's hope not.
Whitaker.
Because I was watching some of the fight videos this week, the fight pressers and stuff, the
Yep.
open workouts, and he was looking like a monster hitting mitts, and just it's
Velasquez?
good. Velasquez. It's just awesome seeing him back.
And it's a good fight for this guy.
Yes.
Good knockout artist that he's fighting, but
Because he's got that one punch power that we saw with over him, where he will just take your head off.
Yep. And
But the thing that I love is that Kane has such a strong stance because he's that Arizona State wrestler.
Yep.
And honestly, I believe Kane is now 36, so he's getting a little bit of that older side. But I think the longer this fight goes, the better chance he has, which is weird for an older fighter. But with that wrestling background, and his cardio has always been insane. You hear about him and DC going at it,
Yep.
where they're just he's a beast and a freak.
Yep. And I agree with that. I definitely agree with that because, like you said, in a lot of his fights, he's been in a lot of wars where he's gone, and he used to be a guy that would just ride people to death, and he would just get on top of you and just maul you and maul you and maul you, and he would never seem to slow down. And that's hard
No.
to find in a heavyweight. And again, he's not working out with anybody that's slowing down. He's working out with the heavyweight champion of the world right now, the 205, I guess ex 205 pound champ now, whatever the hell that deal was with Jones and all that. But I mean, he's working out one of the best guys at
Yes.
his weight class, right around his weight. That is the best at his style wrestling. And they're out there just grinding, and he's probably not slowing down enough. Cormier's in there working with him, and Cormier says to come back, that there's definitely a good chance that he's going to come out and maul this guy.
Yeah. And Ngannou, I believe if he's got the first, maybe second round to maybe catch Kane, but after that, and he's got to catch him quick, I believe.
Yeah,
Because Kane's not going to play games with you.
No, yeah, like I was going to say, it's one of those things that if Kane comes down and takes you down, double legs against the cage, gets you to where you're turtling. Especially
And we've
guys
seen
like
that when he
Ngannou.
fought Stipe.
Yep,
Where
he's gonna go
he's going to be in
after you.
trouble for the rest of the fight.
Yeah. He's not going to let you down. He's just going to beat on you. And that's just a tough fight for Ngannou, just because, if I'm not mistaken, his last fight was that full buffalo, or whatever you want to call it, that crap fight with
I believe he
Derek
had one
Lewis.
after that.
Did he have one after that?
Yeah, because I would have to look it up. I believe because he fought Lewis, where everybody was so disappointed
That
because
was
we were looking for
horrible,
those
yeah.
two brawlers to go to war, and they were both kind of scared of each other. But then I believe he had one fight after that he won.
He did win it.
Because he lost to Derek Lewis.
Yep. Yeah, decision, right?
Yep.
A horrible.
Could have gone either way decision, but
I don't know. I didn't see his last fight either. Again, maybe next time when we do this. Again, this is just kind of, we're just coming in quick to.
flying off the draw.
Yeah, we're just kind of throwing it out there and just showing everybody this idea of what we got. But we'll do a little bit more research on this. But I don't think Ngannou, again.
I don't think he's ready to be in that
years,
on that level of
that wrestling. That's going to be, and it's been such a hard thing for everybody else in that division with Cormier, which again, Cormier's an Olympic wrestler. He's done all these things, but I just, when you see how Kane used to perform and the mauling and the things that he did to people, I just think that he's going to come out and he's going to really show what he used to be, which is going to be really interesting to see what happens when he starts running through at least I think he's going to run through the heavyweight division, and then there's him and Cormier.
Well, they still are saying that Cormier's supposed to be retiring this month, I believe.
He's going to retire then. I hope, yeah, because he's be 40.
Yes.
That's the deal.
That's what I've
heard. I
heard.
hope he does. Nothing against Cormier, but it's one of those things too, is he can show a good example for young fighters of what it's like to get out early and get out at the right time.
Yeah,
and
heavyweight champion of the world, Olympic wrestler, light heavyweight champion of the world. Like, you've done everything you can do.
And he didn't lose the 205-pound champion, let's be honest. Like, he
vacated
lost
it
to Jones once.
Twice.
Once, but lost twice, the second time, which they didn't count because against steroids.
Yep.
Which, I mean, I think Jones is a great fighter and everything, and I don't want to take too much away from him, but again, that is what comes down to.
There's always going to be that question.
There's always that question of how long or whatever. But DC 205-pound champion, he did lose. The only person he's ever really lost to was John Jones, and again, a lot of people say it don't count because of the steroids. And so there's nothing else he can prove. 205 champion came out and beat Stipe, who Stipe was at the time the
most winning heavyweight champion.
Yeah, right, of all time.
Yep.
And so now he comes out and destroyed Stipe, which I was a huge fan of Stipe, and I still am, of course. But
yeah, I was really hoping for that rematch, just because. But I don't know why they keep overlooking Stipe now, because I don't think he's fought since then.
No, I don't think so either. But he should definitely get a pass, Cormier, on defending that belt, because, like, again, there's nothing else he can prove. He's done everything. He's been to the Olympics, and he had that unfortunate problem in the Olympics with his weight cut again, which weight cutting is such a hard time for everybody. I mean, you've done it, and so we know what it's like. And obviously, we've done it at the heaviest or the highest level like that, like the heavyweight Olympic. Trying to be the gold medal champion of the Olympics, which a lot of people say that he probably would have won that year, but he had that kidney failure because of cutting weight, and so it's like he has nothing to prove. He's been in the Olympics. He's been the champion. Probably national, freestyle champion, whatever. He's won all that in wrestling. Got to the Olympics, unfortunately didn't get to do it. Got all the way to MMA, won Strikeforce heavyweight champion, Grand Prix, won the UFC light heavyweight champion, won the UFC heavyweight champion. I mean, there's nothing for him to prove at all.
In the cage.
His family.
He's got enough going on out of the cage, commentating, TV.
Yep, his family's taken care of, and he is smart enough, for the rest of his life, he can comment, he can have his own podcast. He can do whatever the hell he wants. Hopefully he does a ton of podcasts. He'll put us out of business. But he can do whatever the heck he wants. He's a great guy, and people love him. And it's awesome to see, because when he first started and first was the champ, people kind of hated him. People used to boo him, and he used to tell people all the time, "Boo me all you want, but you're gonna love me." And everybody loves him now.
Right.
It's because he actually gets to show who he is. Everybody was so mad that he was the guy going to rival John Jones. Everybody loved, and now everybody's like, the guy we loved was kind of a dirtbag. Let's see what this
kind of a shithole. Yeah.
And it's hard not to think that about John. Again, he's a great athlete and everything else, but he's done a lot of bad things. Again, so I'm going with Kane. I think Kane's probably going to win.
Definitely.
I'd say first or second round. And
I just don't believe that Ngannou has the experience yet.
And he's not.
He's had like 5 or 6 fights against a veteran with I believe 14 or so fights.
Right.
And it's just not comparable right now.
Right.
They're still feeding these young guys to these old guys that still have it, I believe.
I agree, and I don't know. I think Kane's going to get a hold of you, and once he gets a hold of you, he's not going to let you go. He's done it to so many people, and even if he doesn't get a hold of the guy, he might knock him out.
He's got that power.
His
Him and
hands,
Junior Dos Anjos?
and how fast his hands were back in the day. I remember watching him put people out with that 1-2, 1-2, and just those combos he puts together were just so fast and so good. Yeah, I think so. Him and Dos Santos, which Dos Santos is probably one of the best boxers of all time in
Yeah.
the heavyweight division.
Because you put
Kane beat him up.
him, obviously, Dos Anjos, Fabricio, Verdum.
Yep.
Those are the best heavyweights of all time. Stipe,
Yep.
now DC, but he's still one of the best of all time.
I don't know. I want to pick Kane, second round, TKO. He's got to warm up that first round, but after 3 year layoff, I think it's a good test, and it's a good fight to throw him right back in the mix.
Yep.
He's not fighting at 15 or 10, he's fighting, whatever. I think the
believe
guy's
top
got to be
five.
top 5. Yeah, he's got to be, because he fought for the belt not long ago. Hopefully, he's up there. He's probably definitely within the top 10.
10.
So I'm just going to throw Kane back in there, and I'm definitely rooting for him. So those are our picks for now.
And there was actually one more fight that I
Oh.
want to talk about that I remember
Okay.
because we see Bellator on the list. Is that MVP, Michael Venom Page, and
Paul Daly.
Paul Daly are fighting this weekend.
Yeah, that's happening this weekend too for Bellator.
Yes, I believe it's Saturday night.
Saturday. Awesome.
Yes.
All
I
right.
believe it's
Well,
actually happening over in. No, it's happening in like the Northeast in Maine, I believe.
Maine. Okay.
Something weird like that.
So
Which,
again, we didn't prepare for this, but let's get a little bit into that. Which guy do you know more about?
actually, I know a little bit about both because I remember
Okay.
back in the day when who's this guy?
MVP or Paul Daly?
Paul Daly when him and Nate Diaz fought, and Nate Diaz won the belt off him.
Oh,
And in
Nick.
Strike Force, I would believe
Nick
it
Diaz,
was.
right.
Nick Diaz.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what I meant.
yeah.
So I've kind of known about him and followed him for a while. Just that boxer, and MVP is another one of those people that you can compare to Anderson Silva,
Right.
just with the way he moves, his fluidity, which is somebody who I would love to see in the UFC, fighting those top level guys, and maybe him in a Stylebender fight someday would be awesome.
That
But
would be. I don't know if they're the same weight class though. I think Stylebender's a little bigger than that, but that would be still.
okay, because I suppose that I think that this is a
It's
55,
170.
170.
Yeah, I think
Okay,
Stylebender's at 205.
185.
85? Is it 85? Yeah.
I believe.
Probably big 85 or
Yeah.
He's giant. So yeah, I know a little bit more a little bit about them too. I know that Paul Daly is a knockout artist. He's got a mean left hook. He's knocked out a lot of people, and he was in the UFC for a little while, but he had that controversial fight with Josh Koscheck,
Oh,
where
okay.
Koscheck held him down and then was like talking to him, and they were kind of getting into it. And after the fight, he actually cheap shotted Josh Koscheck, and the referee kind of had to break him up. And so then he got kicked out of the UFC. But yeah, he's fought, all over the world. He's a great kickboxer.
Yep,
He's
real
got
veteran.
very good sprawl, very good takedown defense, and he's very good at getting back up. But the bad thing is for this fight, he's probably not going to have to use a lot of that. He's probably going to have to use a lot of that.
He's going to have to use his boxing defense the whole fight, I believe.
Yeah, he's got to kick
And
down.
I think he's over on the over the hill side of this.
He is, but dude, he's had some of the worst knockouts like that you've seen for a long time. Like he knocked out.
'Cause I believe it was like almost 8 years ago when Nick Diaz knocked him out. If
Yeah,
not
they both have
longer.
really good flying knee knockouts. Now I think about it, but yeah, Nick fight was a long time ago. That was back in Strikeforce, so
Yeah.
that was probably maybe.
And we all know the MVP fight where he broke Cyborg's face.
Yeah, and Dan's floor. Oh, that hurts my head even thinking about
Yeah.
that. Yeah, that was horrible. And then that and I'm blanking on the name of the guy that
Daly.
Daly fought, but he ended up knocking him out with a really big flying knee as well, and leaving a huge gash on his face. And so they're both guys that are even. MVP's coming up again. This is one of those fights where they're stylistically very similar. One's more of kind of a knockout artist, I would say, in Daly, but MVP's more of the stylistically fast kind
Fluid,
of
Bruce
karate
Lee
style.
moving around,
Yeah.
yeah.
He's a little more slick as to where Daly's gonna come out and just start throwing
That's straight
bombs
boxing
and just
over
dynamite in his hands. So I don't know. It's a really hard pick for me.
I believe it's going to be a very exciting fight.
I hope so too. They're gonna come at it. They're both. I want to say they're both English or from somewhere in that area.
Yeah, I believe they're
British,
both
English.
from England. Britain.
And they both like to talk. They both like to get each other's faces. They both like to be very aggressive. So it's a very exciting fight. I'm definitely gonna watch that one and get some popcorn for that one. So let's do a pick. Who are you gonna pick?
I'm going to pick MVP for this fight. I think that he's on his way to being the Bellator world champion.
Okay.
I believe right now it's Michael Chandler. Still?
That's 55. 70 is Michael McDonald or McDonald.
McDonald.
Roy McDonald. Is it
Yeah.
Roy? Or is it? Yeah, because he went up to 85 to try to fight Lima, correct, and then lost. But yep, he's still the 70 champ.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it'd be good to see him against him as well.
Which McDonald, I also believe, has a fight coming up in the next few weeks. I seen him on that Pico card when they were interviewing.
Oh, okay, yeah. He probably, yeah.
But I can't remember the opponent yet. We can go over that later.
When we come back for the next one, we'll probably have it. Again, these podcasts, if we do these ones, right now they're all done on the phone, like we said earlier, like I said earlier. And
we'll have our young Jamie, hopefully.
yeah, we're going to try to get this going. And, so hopefully in the next few weeks we'll have, after these fights happen, we'll have a little bit more info. And we'll kind of come back and do a little recap of all this stuff and a little rundown of what's happening and what's coming up again. But so my pick, I guess, for this fight, I'm gonna say Paulo Daly. I'm gonna go for the upset.
Hoping for the veteran?
Yeah, for the knockout. I'm gonna go for the knockout, left hook knockout. I'm hoping that MVP gets a little too cocky, does a little dance, and walks right into Paulo Daly. Yeah, left hook, because Paulo Daly's knocked out a lot of good people, dropped a lot of people, and he's got dynamite in his hands. So I'm gonna go for the underdog for this one, which I don't usually do, but yeah, we'll go for that one. So. We'll come back and we'll see what happens, and we'll have our picks written down and stuff of who we thought was going to win and how close we were, how the fights went. So now we'll kind of get off that topic and we'll kind of bring up one of the things that I kind of want to do with this podcast is kind of bring out the light of some of the awareness of what I like to call our silent killers. And I think, depression, addiction, and, another one that affects me and my family is cystic fibrosis, which, they're all things that if you didn't know.
Can you go into detail for that cystic fibrosis for me a little
bit?
Yeah. Just because I don't know what it is.
Yeah. Let me kind of just give you a little rundown. So basically what it is it's a genetic lung disease and digestive system. And so basically it affects your lungs and your digestive system. And so basically everything, their mucus, all their blood, everything else is a little thicker in their body. So it's harder for them to kind of process the mucus and all that stuff. So they have to wear what is called a vest. And so what that does is basically shake everything up, get all the mucus and stuff out. So a lot of times it's hard for them to breathe. If they get congested, it's very easily for them to kind of get like lung infections and stuff like this. And as well as their digestive system is affected by it. And so their body doesn't produce like digestive enzymes. And so they have to take, every time they eat, they have to take pills that are enzymes that they have to take with them at their meal.
So the body's just not producing.
Yeah, exactly. And it's, I want to say, it's in the pancreas. I want to say the pancreas doesn't produce whatever it is. And again, I'm going to do a podcast. This one's basically about depression, but cystic fibrosis we're going to get into in a different podcast. So I'm going to have a whole rundown of everything about it. Yeah.
Cool.
But basically, they have to take these and it helps them digest stuff. And so the only reason why we really figured out, and I'll kind of get this to my one podcast, is because my niece was born with a blockage in her intestines and it burst. And so we had to have like emergency C-section and all this stuff. And then they found out when they were doing tests on her, everything else was wrong, that she has cystic fibrosis.
And that must be a genetic thing, so it can't, they chased it
and
back.
so then they kind of went in and they tested. And so how you get it is both parents have to be carriers. And so if one parent's carrier, it won't get it, but both parents have to. And so down both the lines of my sister and my brother-in-law, they now, figured out that both families have it. And so, again, we would have never known. And a lot of people don't know until they're 3 or 4 years old. They kind of figure out, like, God, they're always sick. They always kind of do digestive problems. They don't figure it out until about that age. So we were lucky that we found out early. And then when she had other kids, that they tested them right away.
Good.
And so we kind of, so that's just basically, basically affects their lungs, their digestive system, and they sweat more than other kids. They, it affects a lot of their stuff. But again, they're healthy, but it's a silent killer. You never know. You see them, see them running, playing. They're just like other kids. But all of a sudden they start hacking up, and everybody would think they have a cold all the time, because they're always hacking up mucus and stuff, because it's always building up a little thicker than everybody else's, especially like in the winter time and stuff. It's very tough on them. And so again, we'll get into that podcast, but and another one to get on addiction, and I'll kind of tell my story about how I kind of had struggled with my dad and all that stuff, and I had my kind of personal struggle with depression and how it kind of led into that addiction as well. But today, what our main topic is going to be, thank you for kind of bringing that up and kind of getting a light to that, because I don't think a lot of people know what that is. And so, again, for future podcasts coming up very soon, and I'll probably have Jay or somebody else on with me. We'll kind of talk about it and just kind of give a rundown too of all that stuff. And eventually, I know some people that are actually affected by cystic fibrosis and actually have cystic fibrosis that are older in life and they're right around my year age. So maybe I can get some of them.
Have them
talk
come
to
in
them,
and tell
kind
their
of give
story.
Um, and so that'll be really good. So we're gonna do a lot of cystic fibrosis as well. But this depression again has been something that's kind of come up, and it's been something that has seemed like a main topic for a lot of people that have been watching the podcast or kind of been hearing the stuff that I've been sharing on our posts. And um, it's something that I have personally been affected by, and I'm sure maybe you have at some point, or you know somebody that definitely has been affected by it.
Too many people.
Definitely, and it's again, it's one of those things. So again, depression is what we're going to talk about, and we're not going to really necessarily talk about sad stuff or try to bring the mood down. What we're going to do is we're going to
Success stories.
yeah, we're talking about success story and how we've been affected by it, what helped us overcome it, at least myself, what overcome it, and we're gonna bring up, you know, one of the guys that in the news lately has been really positive for mental health and mental health awareness and kind of has a really good story.
Crazy.
Yeah, and he's one of the best people I think that has ever told his story this way, besides maybe Mike Tyson, which is a little ironic with the name, but and then
He's actually named after him, I believe.
I think so. Yeah. So, and then I'll just kind of give a little bit of rundown of, about why this came up to me and how some of my close friends have actually kind of talked to me about this. But real quick, I'm just going to pause. We'll come into this back, but I'm just going to check and make sure everything's running right, and we'll pause.
Perfect.
So again, I didn't mean to end that. I just want to make sure again everything's done on the phone. So we're just going to try to make sure that this is all working well. We're kind of flowing well. So the big thing, again, silent killers. That's going to be kind of the main topics for probably the next 3 podcasts. This one is going to be about depression. And so I just kind of want to start off with one of the things that makes a silent killer to me, and what kind of turns me personally, is when I was young, I had my best friend. He ended up actually killing himself. And I didn't know. I was 16, he was 17, and maybe I was 15, he was 16, somewhere around there, but it was right around that junior high, right in the high school years, and I didn't know anything about it. I knew that, him and his girlfriend kind of had like that typical toxic, like, high school relationship that a lot of kids, kind of go through, and I just always assumed that, that
They're going to grow out of it.
yeah, that you kind of get over your breakup, whatever it is, and I didn't really know that he had a problem with drugs and stuff that he kind of was keeping from me. I mean, we always were young, we always kind of partied and had a little bit of fun, but I never really
Thought it was as serious as it was.
Yeah, I never thought it was as serious as it was, and I always told him that I because of what might happen with my dad, that I didn't do the party and I would drink and smoke every now and then, but it wasn't the thing that I wanted to be around, and I think he came around me a lot because he liked to get away from that, but I didn't know that he had a problem. I think he kept it to himself, and that again goes into addiction, and I believe that those were 2 silent killers that together kind of went into what happened with him. And
one kind of pushes the other, I believe.
And I agree, and I think on top of that, he had a toxic relationship with his girlfriend, and I don't know how the family life was, but when I met his family, it always seemed well. But again, a lot of people don't talk about that stuff or bring that up, and so it's one of those things that really always eats me up, that I didn't know. I wish that I would have known, because again, he's somebody that I still to this day, I loved, and I'd bring around my family. I took everywhere. We went everywhere. Did everything together. For the short time that I knew him, I knew maybe a year and a half. But from the day we met up until the point, we were together every day. And I knew like the last few weeks that it was like kind of getting bad with his girlfriend and stuff like that. But I never knew that. I just figured out we're gonna break up because it got bad. They broke up and they got back together. It was one of those just young relationships, and so I don't know if that necessarily was the leading cause, but I definitely know that it
played its part.
Yeah, it definitely played its part. But it's one of those things that as a young kid, you assume that that's just how life goes. Is you fall in love, which it's puppy love. You're young, you don't know, and you just break up, you fight, break up, you fight. You kind of get over it, and you find somebody new. But at least for me, and I don't know about any of his other friends or anybody, but nobody that I knew or said anything knew how hard it was for him or what he was going through. So it was a shock to me, and I remember being at a fight. And I was cornering people, and I remember walking out, cornering people as they were calling the person's name. I remember looking at my phone, getting a text that said, "Bye, man." And I remember being like, "What?" And then I remember kind of like going to the fight and dealing with all that. And then like afterward, I went home because the fight ended up being like on a weird like Thursday night or something. So we had school on the Friday, but I took the night off because we had the fights the night before. And so I remember waking up to my girlfriend at the time. Again, we were super young. She called me and was like, "Why is everybody crying?" Like, what happened, and, kind of was like, where is he, blah, blah, again, I'm gonna try not to say his name or anything, but, it was just like, what do you mean, what's going on? And then I kind of put it together, and she was like, did they break up, or what's, like, everybody's crying, and then, like, I was like, I think he might have killed himself. She's like, what? And I was like, I gotta go, and I remember, like, calling my mom and being like, she was upstairs, because I was, but I just remember calling her and being like, I need, like, you gotta come down, and she came downstairs. I kind of told her what was going on. I think it was what happened, and then my girlfriend at the time ended up calling back like a half hour later, and that's what ended up happening. The girl
That's what
kind of
ended up
find out
happening.
happened, and that he ended up killing himself, and it was just one of those things that kind of just like turned my life upside down. And again, if I didn't have fighting or anything like that, my goals at the time, I probably, would have took it a lot differently than I did. But I was lucky that I had that, and I think that if he would have told anybody, just spoke up, and not, I think people have a stigma that it's like weak if you are depressed or you're having suicidal thoughts, whatever. But I just think that you got to speak up, because nobody knows you're hurting but you, and if you don't say anything, nobody's gonna ever know, you know what I mean? So speak up, and never be afraid of your feelings, or to express yourself to people, or just be like, this is what I feel, and this is what I'm going through, and I need help. And whether that person can help you or not, maybe they can lead you to somebody who can help. And if they can't, I mean, there's always Google. We have a email too as well. You guys can email us, and we'll try to lead you into the right direction to try to get through some of the stuff. And so I'll kind of get into like what I kind of went through. Maybe you can share your story, maybe some of the stuff that you kind of got through. What my personal struggle basically came from, I was always so focused on fighting and training and doing all that, and then we kind of had a fallout with my team, and everybody kind of like basically kind of imploded. We had kind of a couple of sour grapes, or a couple of bad apples, and as they say, one bad apple ruined the bunch. And unfortunately, after 15 years of having a team, that's basically what happened. Is we had a couple of bad apples, kind of rubbed people the wrong way, everybody started kind of going their own way, and just couldn't afford to keep everything going and doing the things that we did. So I ended up taking over at the time and taking a gym over, and I was kind of running stuff myself, and I was maybe 18, 19 at the time. And
It's just a lot.
which, yeah, and my big thing was, it was my goal, and it was my dream to be a trainer and a fighter and be the best that I could ever be. And so I never thought of outsourcing or moving away from home at the time. I was still young and still kind of in that picture frame, and I never took the step back to look at the picture and, take a bigger look at everything. But
Right, and what does an 18-year-old really know?
exactly. And I thought I knew everything, just like every other 18-year-old. I was going to be the best fighter in the world. I just had a couple setbacks, blah, blah. I could do better. I'm always going to be able to go swing, whatever. And so I ended up having a team. I ended up getting a friend of mine that I actually no longer talk to because of this. And he actually was struggling with addiction himself. He's addicted to meth and, some stuff. And obviously, I'm not going to say anybody's name or anything, but everybody who's close to me kind of knows the story already, but I don't think they really understand how important that all was to me, because basically at the time that was my life, and that's everything that I had ever really put my time, effort, energy into, was getting the mats, getting all the stuff for that, making sure that everybody's coming. We have a friend Jason that trains with us now. He was coming from Rochester all the way down to Lake City to train at our gym, and he was coming from the rival gym that we have in town all the way to my gym, and that which was just in a little garage. Right. Trained with us because of how good I was teaching and the stuff that I was doing, but I was just putting the time and effort into, just like I'm going to with this.
That's your life, your obsession. And
exactly, and I
fell apart.
I did everything, and leading up to the fight, I got this guy who I think at the time he was, I think I said earlier he was 1-7, but I think it was 1-5 at the time, and I ended up getting him to 6-5 or something. So every fight he was with me, he'd won 4 fights in a row, and he fell back off the bandwagon, started winning money and all this, and kind of ripped off a couple of the promoters that we were dealing with. But in the meantime, I was getting ready for a fight, which was, my comeback fight, and I was trying to
get yourself ready.
To make that big jump and kind of get everybody's name out. We made big T-shirts and all this stuff. We had all this stuff planned out for this fight, and I won one fight, and then the next fight, it was the same thing. I was like, all right, we got our T-shirts, we got everything. We need people for the fights to sell T-shirts. We had a whole team of guys, everything. Everybody showed up and did everything but him. But he ended up just stopping 2 weeks before the fight and just disappeared. And we didn't know what the hell was going on, any of this stuff. And what ended up happening was that he ended up going off on a bender again. And I ended up going out, and I had...
Was this guy older than you, same age?
He was a couple years older than me, but...
Okay. Not An adult.
Yeah, nothing.
So we say 18's an adult, but let's be real.
Yeah, and at the time I think I was, when he had came into the picture, I had already ran my gym for maybe a year and a half by myself, and so I was maybe 21-ish at the time, and he's 24, 25, something like that. We were still young. This was a while ago. I've been at this gym now for 5 or 6 years, so this was a while ago. And when we were kind of going through, he kind of fell off again, and at the time it was like he was the guy that I relied on, and I put all my time and effort into him and making him like the best coach that I could to help me with everything and make me better. And he had trained at a good gym, with a good guy with Suju Kahana, who was a very, very good guy. Worked with Anderson stuff like. He had trained with a very good guy for a long time, so he had a lot of good.
He had his good base.
He had a lot of good things going for him. That, if we could have kept on the straight and narrow, it would have been really great. We were working out, twice a day. We were going to a Anytime Fitness in the morning, and then we were going to my gym. We were running classes. And
so it wasn't just a partner, kind of a best friend.
Exactly, everything I did for maybe 7, 8, 10 months. We were together every day, all day long, figuring out fight plans, figuring out what tournament we were going to go to, all this stuff, coaching people. And so, 2 weeks before this big fight, and it was my big come out fight. I finally, I won a fight. Now it's my comeback fight. Like, I'm going to win, and hopefully I get up into this next level, like fight LFA or whatever it was at the time. And
always looking for that next level.
Always, and back then, we were always on the hunt, always thinking like, this is the fight.
Take any fight you can get. Yeah.
So to me at the time, like, this was the one. I'm gonna beat this guy. Everybody's gonna see I won 3 fights in a row now, or whatever it was, and I'm gonna be, I'm gonna be able to jump to that level. And so it meant a lot to me. And then all of a sudden, just one day he was gonna stop and answering the calls, and it was 2 weeks for the fight, so that was the cut weeks.
Yeah, that's when you're in your panic mode. You're stressed.
I started trying to hit mats with kids and new guys were on the team that didn't know anything, and then I had to bring in guys that were from another team, and I ended up getting hurt raw with another guy. I tweaked my arm, and that's actually where the arm that's messed up nowadays that I still have problems with every now and then. That's where it originally came from. And so it started I think it was 8 or 9 days before the fight, and so then I was just running and trying to keep my weight down, and he didn't show up to the fight, didn't show up to weigh-ins and all that stuff, so I had to do all the stuff now on my own. I had to figure out new guys to luckily my family and them stepped up and helped me solve my t-shirts and all that stuff and do all that, but it was still, there was nobody in my corner, and I ended up having Dan in my corner, and it was supposed to be Dan and my guy because I was going up to Dan at the time, bringing back stuff to my gym to teach all them.
Yep.
And so it was supposed to be Dan and this other guy in my gym, or in my corner, ended up being just Dan, and I was hurt. I didn't want to explain to there's a Lecco that I was hurt and all this stuff. And so I remember losing that fight and just seeing the disappointed look in Dan that I know you could have done better, but going into the fight, I really wasn't mentally there and physically.
You have all that other stuff on your mind, what happened to him, what's going on.
And when we were holding mitts, it was like the guy was,
you have your system with the guy.
Exactly.
I'll have the same things. I know how to run mitts with Josh. I know how to run mitts with Dan.
Yep.
Those are from back in the day. But I have people coming in, and you just don't have that connection with that. You can't.
Yep, exactly. And that's how it was before a fight. And Dan at the time, and still even to this day, he's not the guy that holds mitts for you. We have those guys.
Yep.
And how it should be. You should have a striking guy that holds you and a grappling guy, how it should have been. And so he was to be my guy. He's my mitts guy. He's the guy that worked with a kickboxing guy that was very good. And he had very good skills and everything. So when I was hitting mitts for the fight, even it was just it just didn't feel right. Everything just wasn't adding up, and I didn't have that mojo in me. And then seeing Dan be disappointed in me, knowing I could have better, knowing it myself. I remember the second I got up out of the third round and looked at Dan and him, we didn't win. Yeah, I know. And just right from then, I was just I'm done with this. I can't do this anymore.
Yep.
I put too much pressure on myself and all this. I've done all this stuff for everybody nobody's gonna give me back. And really, it wasn't everybody. It was just this one individual that I kind of put
the blame
on
out.
everybody.
Yep.
And I just kind of lost faith in a lot of stuff. I stopped training. I closed the gym down. Got rid of a lot of the gear, and it sucks because
you had a good thing and then one bad thing happened.
I did, and honestly, if any of the guys who were at that gym at the time that were coming down, I just owe all you guys an apology, because at the time it just everything kind of spiraled out of control after that. And I remember it was just, we had the gym up until that weigh-in, and then that Monday once I lost the fight, I told everybody everything's closed down, it's done. And it was just because, again, I had just lost.
You ran the end of your line.
Exactly. I redlined, and I was done with everything, and I didn't know where to go or what to do after that. And the guy that I kind of was, putting so much faith into and hoping that we could actually make this into something, and we were actually looking at renting a place and starting to actually really charge people a lot of money and actually doing a real gym kind of just fell apart on me, and so I didn't really have.
In a matter of
anywhere to
minutes
go
is
to.
what it sounds like.
Exactly.
Something you spent
exactly.
years doing.
Yep.
Blew up in a
Fall
week and a half.
asleep one night. Hey, I'll meet you at the gym at 6. Wake up, meet at the gym, and you're alone. Do your first workout, and then it's your cut week, and so it's
Yep.
like this sucks. So again, and again, all those guys at the gym, you know who you guys were that were there and helped us. I apologize to all you guys again. I mean, this is probably the first time I really talked about it since then, except for some of the close guys that I know. But after that, I lost myself, and I started drinking a lot. I turned all my focus. I wanted to play pool a lot just because I didn't.
You could sit
I
at the
didn't
bar
know
and
what to
drink.
do. Yeah, exactly. I started sitting at the bar drinking, and I have.
I believe that's why I played pool league for a couple of years.
I'm from a small town, so it was easy to go to the bar and know people, and and as bad as it sounds, there's always small town drunks that everybody gets along with, and I just for a little while I became that guy, and I remember I weighed in at 100.
It's nice being everybody's friend, but not in that environment.
Exactly, and you kind of just it was depressing. And I remember I went from 154 pounds is what I weighed in to for my fight because I always weighed in under because I was stupid and I don't know, that was my rule. And I went up to when I first trained, the very first day I came back with Dan and Victor and them, I was 193 pounds. And that was after working out. So
that's when we started working out together, right?
That was when me and you, that first day I started working out with you guys here at the Snap Fitness here in town. And so I ballooned up. I got super depressed. I remember going to bed at 3, 4 in the morning every night. I remember waking up at 2 in the afternoon, just sitting in borrowing money from my mom that I was never paying back. And that even to this day that I owe my mom so much, man, because she's done so much for me that even to this day that I remember just like, I wish I would have never done that. But being young and dumb and just kind of getting stuck in that funk and not ever having anything, kind of just got like any goals or anything is really what it was, at least for myself, is what kind of brought me down. And it was so easy to fall into that and just being around that. And once I was there was no coming back. And I just like, that's what everyone else is doing, why not do it? And it was easy to surround yourself.
You accept
around
it.
people. Yeah, and it was easy to surround yourself around people. They're like, oh, that's bad for me too. But it's okay. And you're like, well, everybody has this, So I definitely fell into that a lot, and I fell into it easily just because, again, I didn't have any goals or anything that I wanted to do because I'd given up on myself and on what I was good at. And luckily I had Victor who would talk back to me and it was just like, hey, don't be a puto, come out here. And
dude, Victor is one of the most inspiring people. He is. He's one of the big inspirations for me when I was first getting into this too. He's the one that I lived a block and a half away from. He's like, hey, come over to my house, run mates with me every day. Right. So he's the one that really got me back into this because I have kind of a similar story that I just posted on the Facebook page of me when I was about 230 pounds.
Yep.
And 4 years later, sitting in at 155. Yeah, that was the night before weigh-in, so I was probably about 155. Okay. And then the pictures that I posted yesterday with 2 straps over my shoulders, Right. It's amazing how slow and fast things can change when you really push yourself and actually get those goals again,
Yeah, and again, and it's one like you're just exactly what you're saying is the thing that helped me is getting goals. And when I came here, we had talked about this in our podcast about how Dan helped us helped me and you and both get goals and just kind of figure out that like I'm really good at this, but I would give up something I'm good at and something that I've put so much time into and I actually do have a passion for. And I remember when I still came back, I still wanted to fight and all that, and then I had, unfortunately I had my stuff with concussions and stuff like that, and I was kind of forced into retiring from fighting, but I still had those goals, and I still knew that even though it was hard to give up fighting, that I knew that I was still good at martial arts and I could figure out some kind of pathway, whether it was coaching or competing in jiu-jitsu, which are both things that I now do, and those were my goals that I decided once I decided I wasn't going to be a fighter anymore, that I made.
There's still so much you can do in this sport without
beat in the limelight,
getting punched in the head
cage.
anymore.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. We could be reps. We could be whatever. There's so many things that we could do. And right now we're both coaching. We're helping kids. We're doing all that stuff. So there's a lot that this has helped.
And I know I don't have I guess depression, but you go through those times where just shit gets hard.
Right.
You lose a girlfriend, you lose a family member, whatever it is. Where you're like, I'm struggling right now. And honestly, one of the things that always pulls me through is that kids class.
Yeah.
You come in, they're all smiling, happy to see you. And, you get that hour and a half where you just feel good about what you're doing again.
Exactly.
You could have a horrible day all day long for a week or two or whatever it is, and that hour every day is just kind of a good place, good, happy. thing, you know?
It's one of those things that we talk about in that same. It's our zen. It's our place where we come in. Nothing else matters because what we're doing, our focus and our goal is to make these kids better.
Yeah.
And every day we see these kids happy and they're happy. And let's be honest, we have a great group of kids. We have lucked out with the kids and the parents. And so the parents and the kids that see this, thank you guys. We love you guys. We're not gonna be like this in class and keep getting a little rowdy on here. Don't worry. We love your kids and we love the opportunity that we get to be with you kids. And I can't thank you and especially Dax enough that you guys come in and help us with with me and my kids' class all the time because it means so much because I have so many kids that are so rambunctious and there's
25 kids.
Yeah, there's so many good kids in our class that they just need that help and I'm glad that we have people that are able to step up and give those kids the one-on-one, or the one-on-two aspect of it because again 25 kids with one coach is very hard but sometimes we have 4, 5, 6 coaches there for every kid so it's great to have that environment and it's one of those things that we have a goal now. We know we want to make these kids better. We want to do everything we can to make these kids better, and that kind of takes us away from our bull crap and all the stuff that we have to worry about and realize that it's not just about us and everything is not just pressing down on us. It's like we can still give out and go feel better about ourselves by doing something different than just sitting in our head and being like, oh, this sucks. I'm so happy.
Right.
You're just like, I want to go out and I'm giving to the kids. And every day that I give those kids a high five and everything that they see me, I know at the beginning they're like, I'm not happy to be here, but at the end they're all like tired, like, oh, I'm so happy I was here, and it's like that like fills me with so much joy every day to see that because I've been going to the gym just pissed off and just like I hate work, it's so stupid, whatever it was, stuff with, especially like lately like stuff with this hasn't been working out, like I was trying to do stuff, it didn't work out, whatever it was, and I'm just so mad and focused on this all day that once I get to the gym, it all just goes away. And then I come back, and once I leave the gym, it's like it's a fresh new start, and everything else kind of works out a little better.
Yeah.
Like it goes
I think that the one thing that me and you probably have learned the most through our martial arts experience is that it's taught us how to fail. I guess. It's like, at least in my experience, is like when something's not working out, like, okay, that's fine. Like something else is gonna happen. I'm gonna work on something else, and we're gonna find that.
We're not afraid to fail because we know that all you're gonna do. And I said this when I started with this podcast. And maybe I've said it in here, and I'm sure if you hang out with me, you know who I am. I've said this a million times. You guys in the last bunch of months is the worst thing that you're gonna do is you're gonna be right back where you started.
Right.
Right. If I'm in full guard and I try an arm bar, the worst thing that's gonna happen is I'm still on the bottom. Like now I pass my legs. Okay, now I gotta do a little bit more work, but I was still having to do work in the first place. It's just try it, try again, and eventually something's gonna work for you. And just don't be afraid to fail. Get out there and go, and set goals and try to crush those goals. But make them goals that are attainable. This is the thing that I was gonna are segueing into, which is really good, is because what helped me get out of my personal struggle, lose the weight, and I mean, again, I don't think I have an incredible weight loss story. I mean, it's 40 some pounds or something, but it was just. I stopped drinking. I just changed my lifestyle. I found my goals again, and working out happened to be one of those goals, and so that helped me lose my weight. And so, that helped with the depression and all that stuff. I wanted to wake up early and start running. I wanted to start doing those things again that I was doing, and so what helped me was
got you back in the positive group.
Exactly, and it made me look at the road. Instead of being like, God, it's dark down that alley. I kind of started seeing like little street lights. Okay, I can make it to there. And then like that's that goal. Little street light is that goal. And now it's dark in there. I don't know what's gonna happen, but I know I can make it to that street light if I just keep pushing through. And if that makes any sense to anybody, that's kind of how I think about it. Is just you got to push to that next step every time, and it's scary and it's dark in between that because you never know what's really going to happen. But once you get there, it's going to be light and light of the day. You know what I mean? And sometimes you got a bumpy road. You got to go around and come back to that first light that you're at and start again. But eventually, you're going to get there by just keep pushing and failing and keep moving and keep trying new things. And that's what we're going to do with this podcast. We're just going to keep pushing, and I think this is going to be a good way to kind of keep people motivated and give them kind of ideas of. To make yourself a goal, whether it's martial arts, whether it's with work, whether it's with at home with your kids, whatever it is, just make goals and set those goals that are attainable and crush those goals. Make a big goal and then make little goals that make you that kind of give you a path, exactly, a stepping stone or a path to that big goal. And that's what helped me. And I know, and I'm sure that's helped you as well, kind of changing your pathway, especially in MMA. I know that you've had goals that at first you probably were just like, I want to fight.
Yeah.
And then you're like, well, I want to get better at this and this and this. I want to do this because it's going to get better at this. And then you kind of had like a pathway.
Your spider web of...
Exactly. Everything kind of built and kind of snowballed into a big thing. And now here we are, double champ, And that's the same thing with me. And now here I am. I'm a coach. I'm trying to do this. I'm doing actually very, positive things, and I'm doing very good in jiu-jitsu, and I'm very happy with my progress with everything. And it's because I have goals and I know where I'm going to. And so with anybody that's struggling, just remember, speak out, tell people that you need help, tell people that it's not going the way you want it to, that, you know, you don't like work, you don't like your relationship, you want something to change, whatever it is in your life, figure out what that is that's bothering you and change it. You don't have to be happy, or you don't have to be unhappy, you don't have to do anything you don't want to do. Life's too short not to be happy, so go out there and do things that make you happy. Obviously, don't hurt anybody, don't do any of that things, but again, don't hurt yourself.
Unless it's on the mats, and it's acceptable.
Yeah, that's acceptable, but don't hurt yourself, don't let yourself, you know, hurt on the inside without telling anybody, because the only way that anybody's ever going to know is by telling them. And somebody that I think is very positive right now, that he had a segue the same way that I did into kind of have a mental health and that the struggle is Tyson Fury. And what he did is he had the same thing. He had goals and he set up plans and he figured out what he wanted to do and what he was going to do to make that goal happen. And with him, it was winning the world title, right? And then he won. He was at the highest high of his life, he says. And then
I believe he won it at 27. He was young. He was very
young, but he beat Vladimir Klitschko, who had like 25 title defenses in a row, like one of the best heavyweights and most like successful heavyweights of like the modern era and probably of all time. But he beat him, and then after he beat him, he had like again he was up there. He was the best in the world, but he sunk down. He had the lowest low because he didn't have any goals, he didn't have any passion, he didn't know where to go from there. And so I think that it's always good to set goals, but always have another goal in mind. Like this goal is going to set up this, and then once this works out, I want to try this, you know, and just always snowball into something different and segue your way into something new, and always find a path to something that makes you happy. And if it's not making you happy, try something new, always. And with Tyson Fury, his thing is he figured out that he was still had a passion. He's still good at something that he might have given up a long time ago. And same with you, like you might have given something up, whether it's painting, art, you know, quilting, whatever it is, something small as to where it could be something big that you gave up on. Go back to it and try it, you know, because you might become, you know, like he did, you know, the world champ or one of the best, most inspirational people of all time. Which
his story has been really inspirational, I know, for a lot of people.
And it definitely in my circle and a lot of people that I have around me and a lot of the people that I know, they share it, and a lot of the stuff that I watch is a lot of Tyson Fury and just talking about how you get knocked down but get back up. Don't ever give up on yourself and keep pushing.
We all saw him take that shot.
Everybody's seen him go down, and I think that's somebody who right now, I think if anybody who's dealing with mental health or anything, I think they've seen his story or at least heard a little bit about him or at least one of his quotes, you know. And it's one of those things that go out there, and if you haven't heard his story, look at what Tyson Fury.
And you know, it's kind of amazing, like that he's willing to tell a story, because you know, there's something that I just heard him say that I kind of mentioned to you. I don't know exactly where it was. It looked like an award show or something, but he's like saying like, I'm the heavyweight champion of the world. I'm this big tough man, but I'm gonna sit here and talk about what's going on in my life. I'm gonna tell you about my struggles so you see every angle of me.
Right.
You know what I mean? And he wants the people that aren't the heavyweight champion of the world, the normal people, to be able to talk about this stuff and get it out there, so they're not, so people aren't in so much pain all the time.
Exactly, and he's like I said, he's a great example of being the highest high, the heavyweight world champion, and he sunk down to the lowest low. Like he said, he was like sleeping with ladies in the night, doing drugs, staying up all day because he didn't have any passion, any goal, anywhere to go. And once he figured out what his goals were, what he needed to do, where he wanted to go in life, and I think that could be hard for some people because they're afraid to fail and they're afraid like if I try this, it's not gonna work out. I'm gonna be poor. But I mean, to be honest with you guys, if you're poor, if you're living under a bridge, I mean, whatever it is, you sleep on your friend's couch, and you go out and you try to get a job, you try something new, you try a podcast, whatever it is, you try to sell t-shirts, you try to sell gum, whatever it is that you try to do, and it doesn't work out, you're still going to be under the bridge, you're still going to be homeless, you're still going to be on your friend's couch, right? You're still going to be where you're at, but at least you got out and you tried something new, and you knew what didn't work, and maybe you picked up something that did work from that, and you could try that and apply it to something new. And so don't ever give up on yourself especially, but maybe give up on some ideas, or try them new, try them a different way, try to reset. You know, don't ever just give up.
There's lessons in failure.
And the big thing is don't be afraid to fail. And that's, like you said, with jiu-jitsu, we learn that, and we learn that whether you want to say it the hard way or whatever it is, we learn that, and it's because I tried an armbar didn't work, darn it. But what happened? I'm still on the bottom, it sucks. You know, now it's winter. You know, before I was in garden in the summer, I'm still homeless, I'm still a little cold. You know, now all of a sudden it's winter, he's in side control, and I'm like, ugh, I'm a little bit more cold now, you know, but I'm still on the bottom, I'm still in the same position I was in, but I tried something. And then eventually, I tried to sweep, and it worked. Now all of a sudden, I'm on top. Okay, now I'm on top of the world, and everything's kind of rolling in my
direction.
Yeah, and that snowball kind of effect is happening. So, again, just try to set a goal, figure out what you want in life, try things, and don't be afraid to try things. Try anything, whatever it is, YouTube channels, podcasts.
Because there's a
t-shirts,
lot of
selling gum, bubble gum, selling used bubble gum, jail by used bubble gum, whatever it is. Just try something, just don't be afraid to go out there and give it your all and fail. You're gonna fail. Everything's not gonna work out the way you want it to. That's the way it has been in life. And if you're at the bottom right now, you know that everything doesn't work out your way. But just know that it always gets better and that there's always people to help you and to point you in the right direction. And again, if you are struggling, this all kind of came up to me because a close friend of mine, Jay's, and at the gym, came up to me the other day and he told me about how this podcast came out and how he's going to share it to one of his friends who's struggling with some depression and just doesn't know where he's at in life and where he's going to go. And so I really want to get this out, and I'm glad that Jay could come out and help me and kind of get this out because I feel like it's going to get out a little better with us talking together, rather than me just kind of rambling, which I'm already doing. But again, he just said that one of his friends is struggling and that he thinks this is going to help him, and just knowing that we've all struggled and that we're in a better place and we've been there. And again, I'm probably going to struggle again in my life and I'm probably going to go through depression or something again, but I know that this is definitely a good outlet to come out and share my story and let people know that I'm definitely not, that you're not alone and that I'm not alone and that I'm willing to talk about it and I'm willing to go through the depression and the stuff that I'm willing to talk about. So some of these podcasts might turn into me, kind of just sharing my stories of what I'm going through and what I'm struggling with in my life at the time, or some of the other people that I'm hanging out with, what they're going through, and and just letting people in on a lot of the things that are common with people that again, you're not alone, and it's very common to feel a lot of the feelings that you're feeling, whether you don't feel like your job's going the right way, your relationship, whatever it is. Just know that that's how everybody's going. So as people talk to, and just talking about it, letting it out is a good way to kind of just get it off your chest, if you will, and know that people can relate to you, and whether it's your best friend or just a guy at work, whatever it is, somebody's going to relate to you and you're going to learn something from them. And so just know that you can talk and that you're not alone.
You mentioned some YouTube channels, and I know sometimes when I'm struggling with stuff, there's people that I've really grown to listen to. Is David Goggins?
Yep, David Goggins is very good.
Excellent. Jordan Peterson?
Yep.
That's kind of iffy with some people, but
yep.
And Cameron Hayes, and there's a bunch of people like Joe Rogan have had on, but you find those few people and you go to their separate channels. I know Jordan Peterson, and David Goggins. Those are two people that I've really grown to listen to for their stories and what they've gone through, and Jordan Peterson is a psychiatrist, and just how he explains everything and what you're going through, what's happening, the way he explains stuff. It's been really helpful to me personally. So just an outlet if you don't know where to start looking.
Yeah, exactly. And again, Google it. Google, self-help. Google, whether whatever it is depression, awareness, just look up for help, look for hotline number to call and just talk to somebody. And, and sometimes it might be it might seem weird to just call somebody random and talk to them, but
sometimes you just need somebody to bounce off.
Somebody to talk to that you don't have to worry about getting into your personal circle or, or judging you on a day-to-day basis. It's just somebody that's, again, there to talk to you and just kind of let you get your thoughts out and, as you will. It's free therapy, and I don't think that therapy is a bad idea for anybody. I think it's helped many, many people, and I myself take therapy, but in my own self way. Same as Jay, as we do jiu-jitsu, we do martial arts, and we get those aggressions and those thoughts and a lot of that frustrating ball of energy inside of us that we don't really know what to do with. We kind of get that out with jiu-jitsu and kind of training. And so if it's therapy or whatever it is, don't be afraid to go out there and try it and talk to people and let people know that you need help and that everything's not okay with you, and that even though it might seem like on the outside, again, it's silent, on the inside you're hurting. Tell people. And that's with addiction, that's with depression or whatever it is in your life. Just let people know.
So one thing I've come to learn is there's always people willing to help. You just don't. You have to be not so stubborn to go out and ask for it.
And it might not be the person you want to help you. To be honest, you might want your sister, your brother, your mom, your boyfriend, girlfriend, wife, spouse, whatever it is, to be the one to help you. But sometimes it might just be that stranger.
They might be struggling with their own stuff.
Exactly. Yep. And there's people out there that you can call that are just specifically there to help you and kind of walk you through that and just let you get out your thoughts and help you get through that, maybe point you in a direction if they can't give you all the answers to somebody maybe who can, and if they can't, somebody else is going to, and eventually somebody's going to be able to help you. And again, it's trial and error. Don't be afraid to fail, and just because stuff doesn't work out the first time doesn't mean you can't give it another shot, and and try to figure out another way to come about that idea or whatever it is, and whether it's good ideas, whether you're trying to help yourself with therapy, whatever it is, just know that you can always set goals and make things different, and there's ways about making things better. What do you got?
I was just gonna say, like, with the trying over and over things, like we've all had those friends that fall in and out of addiction,
Yep.
and that have
Unfortunately, yeah.
gone through treatments after treatments after treatments, failed, and now I personally have a buddy. He's like at 16 months now sober, and another friend that did the same thing. He's at just over 13 months. So I mean, like, they've spent the last 10 years or whatever X amount of time it has been struggling with this addiction, failing, doing AA, NA, inpatient treatments, and they finally got it right, and this might be the time to get it right forever, but 16 months, you might, whatever it is, now they're on the right path.
Exactly. Yep. And the big thing is too, I'm sure with them is everybody knows that they have an addiction. Everybody knows they're struggling. Everybody knows that there might be a chance that they fall back into that. And that's the same with depression. You might fall back into that depression, but we're here to help you.
Yep.
And once everybody's aware of it and they know that, they're going to be there to help you. And if you honestly want to help yourself and you want to get better, especially with addiction, that's the main one is tell people, tell that you really want to get better. And it might be hard, it might be a struggle, and mentally it's going to be very hard, but again, therapy, there's things, don't ever be afraid to help you and get better and to be as happy as you can be, because there's no cheating in life, and there's no wrong way to be happy, as long as you're not going out of your way to hurt people or you're hurting, anything like that, and you're not being malicious anyway or whatever, but you're just finding a way to make yourself happy. There's no real cheating in that way, whether, again, there's therapy, changing your relationship, changing your job, whatever that is. And so I just want to thank everybody. I know Jay's got to get going to practice here and teach. So
I do want to give a quick shout out,
Okay, yeah,
because we
go ahead,
have
yep.
Evangeline competing this weekend.
Yep, we
at the
do.
Pan
Yep,
Ams.
yep.
So I want to say good luck, kick
Yep.
some ass.
Yep, and she might
Bring
have
home
already
the gold.
competed when this one comes out, which is awesome. But again, she'll see this. Her dad will see this again. And that's another kid that we teach. That's our
Future superstar.
program.
Just remember that.
Yeah,
name.
future world champion. If not, she's gonna be world champion this year. So, or some kind of champion.
Kids Worlds
Yeah,
is
Kids
what it
Worlds.
is.
Yeah, some
Yeah.
Kids World champion. So, very exciting. We have a lot of big things coming up. And again, with the podcast, like you said at the beginning, we have a lot of great things coming up. We're working on stage 2. We're working on investors. Hopefully this week we'll have everything
I
signed.
think we're working up something pretty cool.
Yeah, we're working on a lot of good stuff with our little segment we're gonna do. Hopefully we'll do it a couple times a month, just on really big fights and some stuff that we have coming up. I know that we have some jiu-jitsu tournaments coming up. We have March 2nd. We have one coming up. for
Grappling
everybody.
Industries, I
Yeah,
believe.
Grappling Industries. That's gonna be up in the Minneapolis.
I
St.
believe there's
Paul
one coming
area.
to Rochester. in June.
Yeah, I have one coming up on March 16th.
But I mean, Grappling Industries are coming too. Rochester. Not
No,
American.
it's the submission only one, submission
Okay.
challenge, I think. But then in March, I have March 2nd, I'm going to be competing. We're going to be, the whole team's going to be competing. You're probably not going to because you compete later that month. But so there'll be a bunch of us competing on March 2nd. March 16th, the Valhalla combat.
You
They're
go
having
get that.
there.
What are you gonna win this
The
time?
145. They have some kind of Irish, some kind of cane or something. But
Beating
really,
stick?
I'm just looking to beat the guy that beat me last time. He's 2 and we've gone gets to 3 times and he's beat me 2 out of the 3.
Okay.
So I'm
Gotta
hoping
get that even.
yeah, I'm hoping to even that up and maybe even call him out at the end. Let's do one more match. See how good I do. But yeah, so we're looking forward to that one. And then June, I don't want to say 6th, 7th, or 8th. It's one of those days.
I think it's the 8th.
It's the 8th. Yeah, it's one of
Is
those
that the
days.
St. Croix?
That's St. Croix, and that's the one here in Rochester. It's the same day. So
Oh,
unfortunately, I
that's
think
not
we're gonna
fun.
be I think we're gonna be skipping the St. Croix one this year, unfortunately. Which I love doing that tournament. It's one of my favorite tournaments. Shout out to you guys. But we're gonna be doing the Rochester one. I think it's a submission challenge, but again, it's right here in our hometown.
Yeah.
We have another gym here in town that
Hopefully it's okay.
quote unquote are rivals, if they will. I don't really know how good that it's fun to say, and but honestly, I don't have any.
We'll just say competition.
Yeah, I don't really have any animosity against any of those guys. I don't know any of those guys in the gym, but I just know that they do the same thing we do in the town. So it's fun to have that little bit of a rivalry and kind of know that we want to represent our gym the best as possible, as well as they do. And so I think it's going to be a good. aspect and a good eye to how high level the jiu-jitsu here is in Rochester. And so I hope both teams do well. And obviously we're gonna have tons and tons of kids there. Hopefully we'll get as many of our kids as possible. I mean, we have 30, 40, 50 some kids, so I have no idea. It's hard to count some days. Once it gets past that 20 mark, they're just kind of blur. So, yeah, we're gonna have that coming up. And again, good luck to Evangeline and any of the other kids competing coming up in March. March 2nd, and then obviously when we come back in a few weeks, we'll have a little bit more competitions and stuff set up. As long as some more fights we'll cover.
Because I think the next one we want to cover is the John Jones.
Yeah, I think Jones will be the next fight. Yeah,
Which
I
will
like that
also
'cause
be that March 2nd.
Anthony Smith actually fought Logan Clark, who's at our gym.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so they fought before. And I'm gonna look that I'll look that up and have a little more info on how.
Because that is a stack card.
That is a very stacked card. That's one of the ones that I'm very, very interested in looking at. So that'll be our actual first. It'll be the rundown with the Magic Man and the Prodigy. And then, so that's basically what our podcast will be all about. It'll be a whole episode. It'll start out the same way every other podcast does, but it'll just be me and Jay, and right away we're just going to jump into some fights and some stuff that either we recap from the past episode into some of the new stuff, and then we'll kind of segue into the new fights, and maybe at the end we'll go over some of the fights we plan on covering. And again, if you want to sponsor us, we'll have my email is going to be at the end of this. If you're looking to be on the podcast, maybe you have a story that you want to share, you can email me. It's all going to be at the end. We have our Facebook, our Instagram, our YouTube channel. Hopefully in stage 2, we're going to have shirts. We're going to have all this cool stuff. And
Do we have a website?
Logo. We don't have a website right now. We just have our Facebook.
Next steps.
Yeah, but once we kind of start, this ball starts rolling, we're going to get a website, and hopefully, once we get rid of some t-shirts and stuff like that, and we can maybe do stage 3 as a new website and kind of launch a lot of that stuff, and then we'll have some future guests for stage 2 once we get that laptop and the new camera and stuff. It'll probably be again just one-on-one like me and you're doing here.
Yep.
And then eventually we'll try to do some split screens and some different stuff where we're not just sitting side by side. We'll try to do a little bit of different aspects. But again, that comes in with getting a new studio and all that stuff, which is going to come down future in the line. And that comes down with, a lot of that comes with sharing, liking, commenting, subscribing to our YouTube channel, follow us on Instagram. Again, we're going to have a Twitter that's going to come out soon. So probably the next podcast when me and Jay do it together, which will probably be the next one that we do, it'll be the actual one for the John Jones fight will be the Magic Man and the Prodigy rundown. We'll have all that set up already by then. And then we're hopefully the next one after that will all be done just on a computer, and it'll all be set up on a nice camera. Everything will be done edited and perfect. But thanks again to Splice, to all the people that have liked, commented, and shared. Thanks to Jay. Our next episode's going to come out. It's going to be out right before this one's coming out, actually tomorrow. This one will come out on Sunday. That one's going to come out on Friday. So it'll be 2 days before with Travis. And so we'll share his story, which is an awesome podcast. Listen about him and his struggle with diabetes and kind of stuff like that. So that's a great story that everybody will kind of hear before this one comes out. So again, follow us, like, comment, share.
You guys are going to be the ones that help make this.
Yeah, it's going to happen with you guys. We're going to try to share as much comment. And I mean, if you guys have any ideas about stuff you want us to talk about, we're open to ideas and doing different kind of segments or podcasts, or if there's something that you want us to bring awareness to. There's obviously there's other things, cancer. There's other big things that people struggle with, and that they're kind of going through in life, or that somebody they know is going through. And so, if you want us to kind of bring light to that, and maybe then share a podcast with them, don't be afraid to send it our way. Email us, send it to our Facebook page, whatever it is. You can send it to my personal Facebook page as well. It's Ryan Stock. You can just follow that. Add me. Send me a message. Just kind of let me know what's going on and what you guys want us to talk about. And if we don't know really anything about it, we can definitely do some research on it. Maybe find somebody that
I can study.
Yeah, we can do study. We don't have to Google, but maybe we can find somebody that with one of our resources that is close to that or has dealt with that, whatever the topic may be. So don't be afraid to send us an email. Like, comment, share, all that, and we'll be back soon with the next segment. Will be the rundown with the Magic Man and the Prodigy, and so we'll see you guys soon. So thank you guys.
Bye.